My name is Emma. I am 29 years old, and I couldn't get pregnant until I prayed one prayer that changed everything. Sitting here today with tears in my eyes to aim, but they're not the same tears I cried for 3 years. These are different. These are tears of gratitude, of disbelief, of pure, overwhelming joy, because God heard me. He really, truly heard me. And I need to tell you this story. Not because I am special, not because I did everything right, but because I want every woman watching this to know that God still performs miracles. He still remembers your name. He still sees you in the middle of the night when you are crying into your pillow, wondering if he has forgotten about you. He hasn't. Let me take you back to where this all started, because I need you to understand how lost I felt, how broken, how desperate. It was 3 years ago when my husband Jacob and I decided we were ready. We'd been married for 2 years. We were stable. We had a little house with an extra bedroom that we talked about turning into a nursery. I remember walking past that room every single day, imagining what color we'd paint the walls. Pink, blue, maybe a soft yellow, because we'd want to be surprised. I could see it so clearly. The crib in the corner, the rocking chair by the window, the little mobile hanging above where our baby would sleep. I thought it would happen right away. Everyone told me it would. My mom said, "Oh, honey, you are young and healthy. It'll happen before you know it." My friends who already had kids said, "Just relax and have fun with it." Even my doctor said everything looked normal, that there was no reason to worry, that most couples conceive within the first year. So I waited month after month. I took those tests. I bought them in bulk from the store because I was so sure. Every single month, I was so sure this would be it. This would be the month I'd see those 2 pink lines. This would be the month I'd get to surprise Jacob with some cute little onesie and watch his face light up. But every month, 1 line, just one. And every month, a few days later, I'd feel that familiar cramping, that sinking, devastating reminder that my body had failed again, that I'd failed again. I started to dread going to church. I know that sounds terrible, but I need to be honest with you. Every Sunday, I'd walk into that sanctuary, and it felt like everywhere I looked, there was another pregnancy announcement, another glowing woman standing up during prayer requests, her hand resting on a tiny bump, asking us to pray for a healthy baby. Another baby dedication where a young couple would walk to the front, holding this perfect little miracle wrapped in a white blanket, and I'd smile. I'd say congratulations. But inside I was screaming, why them and not me? God, why is it so easy for everyone else? What am I doing wrong? I started avoiding baby showers. I'd make up excuses. I wasn't feeling well. I had to work. I had a family thing. The truth was, I couldn't sit in a room full of women celebrating what I wanted more than anything in the world. I couldn't watch someone open tiny shoes and little blankets and pretend like my heart wasn't shattering into 1,000 pieces. Jacob tried to be supportive. He really did. He'd hold me while I cried. He'd tell me it would happen. He'd pray with me. But I could see it in his eyes too, the disappointment, the worry, the questions he didn't want to say out loud. What if we never have kids? What if something's wrong with me, with us? We started going to doctors. So many doctors' blood tests, ultrasounds, tracking my cycle down to the hour, temperature charts, ovulation kits, timed intimacy that stopped feeling intimate and started feeling like a monthly assignment we had to complete. They ran tests on Jacob too. Everything came back normal. Normal, 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 normal. That word started to haunt me. If everything's normal, then why isn't this working? One doctor called it unexplained infertility. She said it so casually, like it was just a simple diagnosis. But to me, it felt like she was saying, we don't know what is wrong with you, and we don't know how to fix it. I remember leaving that appointment and just sitting in my car in the parking lot, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. Jacob didn't know what to say. He just held my hand and we sat there in silence for 20 minutes. That night, I questioned everything. I questioned God. I questioned my faith. I questioned why I'd been taught my whole life that children are a blessing from the Lord, and yet he was withholding that blessing from me. Was I not faithful enough? Had I done something wrong? Was this punishment for something in my past? I started bargaining with God. I'd pray these desperate prayers. God, if you give me a baby, I promise I'll raise him to love you. I promise I'll be the best mother. I promise I'll read them the Bible every night. I promise I'll never complain, never take it for granted. Just please, please give me a baby. But months kept passing, then a year, then 2 years. And somewhere in year 3, I started to give up. I stopped buying pregnancy tests. I stopped tracking my cycle so obsessively. I stopped praying those desperate bargaining prayers because, honestly, I didn't think God was listening anymore. I felt abandoned. I felt forgotten. I felt like maybe motherhood just wasn't part of his plan for me, and I needed to accept that and move on. But I couldn't move on because every time I saw a mother pushing a stroller at the grocery store, every time I heard a baby crying in the restaurant booth behind me, every time I scrolled past another birth announcement on social media, the longing came roaring back, the emptiness, the ache so deep in my chest that I didn't know how to name it. I was angry at God. I was angry at my body. I was angry at myself. And then one night in October, everything changed. It was late, maybe 11:30 at night. Jacob was already asleep, but I couldn't sleep. I'd been lying there for hours, staring at the ceiling, feeling that familiar heaviness pressing down on my chest. Earlier that day, my sister had called to tell me she was pregnant with her second child. She was so excited, and I tried to be happy for her. I really did. But after I hung up the phone, I went into the bathroom and cried until I had nothing left. That night, lying in bed, I felt so alone. So I got up. I walked into that spare bedroom, the one we'd stopped calling the nursery because it hurt too much. The one that was now just a storage room filled with boxes and random furniture we didn't know what to do with. I closed the door behind me, sat down on the floor in the dark, and I just broke. I started talking to God. Not praying, really, just talking. Like he was sitting there in the room with me. I said, God, I don't understand. I don't understand why you gave me this desire if you are never going to fulfill it. I don't understand why you are blessing everyone around me, but not me. I don't understand what I am supposed to learn from this or how I am supposed to keep trusting you when it feels like you've turned your back on me. And then I said something I'd never said before. I said, but I am done fighting you. I am done begging. I am done trying to control this. If you want me to be a mother, I trust you'll make it happen. And if you don't, I trust that you have a reason. Even if I never understand it, I surrender completely. This isn't mine to hold on to anymore. It is yours. I am giving it to you. The pain, the hope, the dream, the future, it is all yours. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt peace. Not the kind of peace that comes with getting what you want, but the kind of peace that comes from finally letting go, from trusting that God's plan was bigger than mine, even if I couldn't see it yet. I didn't know it then, but that was the prayer that changed everything. I stayed on that floor for a while, just sitting in the quiet, and I felt different, lighter somehow. Like I'd been carrying this massive weight on my shoulders for 3 years, and I'd finally been given permission to set it down. I wasn't happy exactly. The pain was still there. The longing was still there. But the desperation was gone. The frantic grasping, the need to control every single detail. I walked back to bed that night, and I actually slept. For the first time in months, I slept deeply, peacefully. And when I woke up the next morning, I felt this strange sense of clarity. Like God had whispered to my spirit, I've got this. You don't have to carry it anymore. The next few weeks were, honestly, they were different. I can't fully explain it. I stopped obsessing over my cycle. I stopped analyzing every twinge and symptom. I even deleted the fertility tracking app off my phone, something I never thought I'd be able to do. Jacob noticed. He said I seemed calmer, more like myself again. And I was, because I'd finally given it all to God, not as a bargaining chip, not as a way to manipulate him into giving me what I wanted, but as a true, complete surrender. I started praying differently too. Instead of begging God for a baby, I started thanking him for what I already had. I thanked him for Jacob, for our marriage, for our home, for our health. I thanked him for the way the morning sun looked coming through our kitchen window, I thanked him for the friends who'd stuck by me even when I was too broken to be a good friend back. I thanked him for his presence, even in the waiting. And here is the thing. I wasn't trying to earn anything. I wasn't trying to prove to God that I deserved a miracle. I was just grateful, genuinely grateful for the first time in 3 years. I was able to see my life as something more than just this one missing piece. About 3 weeks after that night in the spare bedroom, I started feeling off. It was subtle at first. I was more tired than usual. My stomach felt a little queasy in the mornings. My chest was tender, but I'd felt all these things before. Month after month, I'd convinced myself these were signs, only to be crushed when they weren't. So I ignored it. I told myself it was stress, or maybe I was coming down with something, or maybe it was just my hormones being unpredictable, like they'd been for years. Jacob noticed before I did. He said, "Emma, you've been exhausted all week, and you barely touched your coffee this morning. You never skip coffee." I brushed it off. I said I was fine, that I'd probably just been staying up too late, but he gave me this look, this hopeful, cautious look that I hadn't seen in a long time. "Do you think?" He started to say, and I cut him off immediately. "Number don't. I am not going down that road again." Because I'd been down that road so many times. I'd gotten my hopes up so many times. I'd taken so many tests that came back negative. I couldn't do it again. I couldn't let myself believe, only to have my heart shattered once more. But Jacob was persistent. A few days later, he came home from work with a pregnancy test. Just one. He set it on the bathroom counter and said, "I know you are scared, but what if?" What if those two words hung in the air between us? I stared at that test for a long time, and I felt afraid, genuinely afraid, because as long as I didn't take it, I could live in the space of maybe I was pregnant, maybe this time was different. But the second I took that test and saw one line again, that maybe would be gone. And I didn't know if I could survive another loss, even a loss of hope. But something in me knew I had to take it. I had to know. So that night, after Jacob went to bed, I picked up the test. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open the package. I remember sitting on the edge of the bathtub, staring at that little plastic stick and whispering, "God, I am terrified. I am so, so terrified, but I trust you. Whatever this says, I trust you." I took the test, and then I set it face down on the counter because I couldn't look at it. The instructions said to wait 3 minutes, but I waited 5, then 10. I was too scared to flip it over, too scared to face another disappointment. Finally, I picked it up, and I saw 2 lines, 2 pink lines. I stared at it. I blinked. I held it up to the light. I thought maybe I was seeing things. Maybe it was a trick of the shadows. Maybe the test was faulty. So I looked again. 2 lines. My hand started shaking so hard I almost dropped it. My heart was pounding in my chest. My breath was coming in short gasps. I sat down on the bathroom floor because my legs literally couldn't hold me up anymore. I was pregnant. After 3 years, after all the tears, all the prayers, all the doctor's appointments, all the negative tests, all the heartbreak, I was pregnant. I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been 5 minutes or 30. I was crying, sobbing, really, but they were tears of shock and disbelief and overwhelming, impossible joy. I kept looking at the test, then looking away, then looking at it again, like I needed to keep confirming it was real. And then I heard God's voice, not audibly, but in my spirit, so clear and strong it made me catch my breath. "I never forgot you. I was always working, even when you couldn't see it." And that is when I completely broke down, because he was right. All those months when I thought he'd abandoned me, when I thought he wasn't listening, when I thought he didn't care, he was there. He was working. He was preparing me, shaping me, teaching me to trust him, not because of what he gives me, but because of who he is. I stayed on that bathroom floor for I don't know how long, just worshiping him, thanking him, crying tears of gratitude that he had been faithful even when I doubted, even when I'd been angry, even when I'd stopped praying those desperate prayers. Eventually, I got up, I washed my face, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. She looked different, transformed, like she'd been through fire and come out refined. I walked into our bedroom where Jacob was sound asleep, and I gently shook his shoulder. He woke up, confused, and said, "Emma, what is wrong? Are you okay?" And I just held up the test. For a second, he didn't understand. He blinked at it, his brain still foggy from sleep, and then his eyes went wide. He sat straight up in bed, took the test from my hands, and stared at it under the lamplight. Are you? I nodded, tears streaming down my face. We're having a baby. He pulled me into his arms and we both just cried. We cried and we laughed and we held each other like we were holding on for dear life. And Jacob kept whispering, "Thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." We stayed up the rest of the night just talking. We were too excited to sleep, too overwhelmed to do anything but sit together and let it sink in. We talked about names, about how we'd tell our families, about that spare bedroom and how we'd finally get to turn it into a nursery. But more than anything, we talked about God's faithfulness. Because this wasn't just about finally getting pregnant. This was about learning to trust him in the waiting. This was about discovering that his love for me wasn't conditional on whether or not he gave me what I wanted. This was about surrender, real complete surrender, and finding peace in his presence even when my circumstances hadn't changed yet. The next few weeks were surreal. I went to the doctor and they confirmed it. I was about 5 weeks along. They did blood work and an early ultrasound, and everything looked healthy. I heard the heartbeat at 8 weeks, and I sobbed in that exam room listening to that tiny rapid flutter. Jacob squeezed my hand so tight, and we both just stared at the screen in awe. That was our baby, our miracle. I started telling people around 12 weeks. My sister cried. My mom screamed with joy. Our church family celebrated with us. Some of them have been praying for us for years, and they felt like this was their miracle too, in a way. But you know what is interesting? Even in the joy, even in the overwhelming gratitude and excitement, I didn't forget the pain. I didn't forget what it felt like to wait, to wonder, to doubt. And I realized that maybe that was the point. Maybe God allowed me to walk through that valley so that when I came out on the other side, I'd be able to encourage other women who are still in it. Because I know there is someone watching this right now who is in the middle of their own waiting season. Maybe you've been trying for 6 months, or a year, or 3 years, or longer. Maybe you've cried those same desperate prayers I cried. Maybe you've questioned God's goodness, his timing, his plan for your life. And I need you to hear this. You are not forgotten. God sees you. He hears every prayer whispered through tears at 2 a.m. He knows the ache in your heart, the emptiness you feel when you see other women with their babies. He knows how hard it is to keep believing, keep trusting, keep hoping when month after month nothing changes. But here is what I learned. God's silence is not his absence. His delay is not his denial. And sometimes the miracle you are praying for can't happen until you learn to surrender the outcome.